The alt-right pipeline is a conceptual model that describes how certain beliefs or characteristics can lead to the alt-right or other right-wing extremism via radicalization. It claims that the internet users who see anti-feminist or anti-SJW content are more likely to encounter more radical ideas, culminating in alt-right content. Individuals with heterodox beliefs can use the internet to change their environment, which has transformed implications for the user. External influences such as the internet might be gradual, so the individual is not always conscious of their changing knowledge or environment. Members of the alt-right refer to this radicalization process as taking the red pill, a reference to the Matrix method of reaching instant consciousness. This is in contrast to the alt-right pipeline's gradual nature. YouTube as a social media has been recognized as a significant component of the alt-right pipeline. This is made possible by an alternative influence network in which various right-wing scholars, commentators, and online personalities collaborate to improve the performance of their content. These personalities' views may differ between conservatism, liberalism, and white nationalism, but they all oppose feminism, progressivism, and social justice, which allows viewers of one figure to swiftly adapt to another. Some people in this network may not communicate with one another, but interviews, internet debates, and other interactions establish paths for consumers to be introduced to new information. YouTube's algorithmic method of video suggestion also helps users locate fresh content that is related to what they've already watched, allowing users to go deeper and deeper into an idea they've already shown interest for. When a person is exposed to content including political, cultural themes, this recommendation algorithm may lead them to different views or topics, such as Islamophobia, anti-immigrant sentiment, or anti-feminism. Recommended content is frequently somewhat connected, resulted in a pipeline effect of incremental radicalization connecting several subjects. Interactions with other radicalized people online, such as in Reddit or 4chan, also contribute to the radicalization. The intellectual dark web community, which is made up of internet personalities united by hostility to identity politics and political correctness, such as Joe Rogan, Ben Shapiro, Dave Rubin, or Jordan B. Peterson, have been discovered to be the beginning of the alt-right pipeline. However, this first episode of the Things Are Happening podcast will not entertain any of these names. Instead, we will talk about a recently emerging figure that has been terrorizing the internet for the last couple of months. Andrew Tate is a British-American kickboxer and online personality. Tate had a successful kickboxing career and won 17 out of his 19 fights. However, his following began to rise as he gave his controversial takes on social media platforms like YouTube, TikTok, or even social media live streams like the ones of Aiden Ross. With these strong opinions, he's able to influence and impress a more audience, and he has become part of the alt-right pipeline. Even though his behavior on camera is thought to be a character, the new morbid discoveries about his life are showing that there is little to no distinction between the king of alpha males and the real Andrew Tate. Right. Welcome everyone. This is my new cast project called The Things Are Happening podcast, where my friend Isma and I are going to be talking about things that we find interesting and are related to things that are currently happening in the world. So, for example, today we're going to talk about the alt-right pipeline, and I'm sure I already explained it in the intro. And specifically, we're going to talk about this new set of social ideas and beings called alpha males, and Mr. Emery Andrew Tate II, right? Who is an individual who has gotten very popular recently for having a money-making scheme, right? And showing off his net worth and money, as well as his controversial takes around social constructs and gender roles. And of course, it's controversial because relating to today's standards and today's ideas, he would be considered to be part of the past. And I think you know a bit more about him, so you can tell us a bit about who he is. Before starting, I'd like to say the following. Throughout the video, I will insert clips and explanations that relate to the points entertained by us for a larger understanding of the topic. These videos include a leak of the first edition of Hustlers University by Vin6, extractions from popular Twitch streamer Hazan Piker's streams, Scene Solano's video on the current version of Hustlers University and his recommendations and opinions, CoffeeZilla's expose video on Tate's program, and Turkey Tom's 42-minute expose video on Tate's past, rise to fame, and ability to milk people for their money. Overall, these are some of the many videos that show the tactics that Tate uses to hook impressionable individuals with his misogynistic ideals, ultimately brainwashing them to be part of his cult so that they blindly fall for his how to make money scam, and he's able to grow his millionaire empire. Links will be in the description if you would like to dig deeper into this rabbit hole. And back to the podcast.
Okay, so basically Andrew Tate, I believe he was born in the UK and then he moved to the USA. His father, Andrew Emery Tate the first, was a chess master, and basically, if you don't know what a chess master is that it's basically a person that competes at an international level in chess. And basically it's like you have soccer players, then it's a chess player, kind of the same idea.
Yeah.
And what we had basically is that Andrew, along with his brother Tristan, they grew together and they were many times with their father. And their father kind of, what we can see about like Andrew Tate's interviews and TikTok videos is that his father was a great influence in his life due to the fact that he probably was one of the persons that, probably the person that kind of passed on those ideas that now Andrew has.
Sadly, regarding what Isma said here, Tate's dad was not present in his life, according to him, of course, for a significant time. He stated that due to his dad's chess fury, he left and was not present for long periods of time, yet he somehow chose his father's ideals over others and idolized him. He stated that his parents went through a divorce because of infidelity, yet he does not believe that having an affair with another person is cheating if it's the man in the relationship. Clips like these show a sad part of Tate's life and make the viewer wonder how he has the values he has.
He walks in the door, my mom's like, Emery, where you been? It's been 2 months. I don't know where you've been. What is this? I've gone through your clothes. There's a picture of some here. And my dad had been home for 42 minutes and he'd just go, sorry, son, she won't shut up. Walked out again. See you in 2 months.
And kind of like pass them these ideas about gender roles and everything. Something like that.
And which it's interesting, right? Because I believe his parents were divorced.
Yeah,
and
so that's what
he wasn't really present there, and when he was,
yeah, like when they're fight. I know a lot about this, and basically when their parents were together, everything was fine. It's true that like his family, they live good, but they didn't have a lot of money. But then Andrew's dad died, I think, and also the fact that they got divorced, and like their parents got divorced, and Andrew's mom, like she took care of Andrew, Tristan, and their sister. She took care of them, and they couldn't see their dad too much. And then I think when Andrew was young, his father died, and then Andrew stayed like on his family. Their economic situation was not the best, we could say, and I mean sometimes they had some struggles. And Andrew was really inspired by his dad, and this is why, along with his brother Tristan, they decided to start searching ways in which they could earn a lot of money in order to be rich. And probably one of their biggest objectives was to retire their mom, which they did after their first payout. And then they have built this empire where they own a lot of casinos, a lot of different businesses. They are also investing in stock market, I think. And yeah, probably Andrew Tate is everywhere now.
Yeah, that's a problem but we will get into why he is obtaining this such a following in and how for like social media algorithms, like for example YouTube, TikTok, they're like he is incredibly present everywhere, even if it's like making fun of him or mostly endorsing his ideas, as he has this large following. But a bit of backstory, apart from what Isma said, we do know that Andrew Tate, when he was younger, as well as his brother Tristan, they went from on and off from like different reality shows because they thought before that I believe Andrew started his kickboxing career.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. That's
So
also really
this
important
man
to mention.
has some titles, I believe, like world titles for
Yeah. So
kickboxing,
basically,
but retired
and
after 2 losses. So
yeah, Andrew Tate basically, he started like with some businesses, but probably he got his first payout after training many years and becoming a kickbox champion, and I think it was lightweight category or something like that, and he was Europe champion or a world champion, and he just was basically going all around Europe, especially Eastern Europe, which we will see now that Eastern Europe has a lot of connection with Andrew, and there he started winning a lot of matches, and after winning several, he became champion, and he was winning a lot of money, and he has said in many interviews the fact that becoming successful in sports such as kickboxing, UFC, and many other competitions is extremely hard, as there's people that maybe will just have only one fight in their whole career, and the fact that they are training like when probably they are not able to live from kickboxing, and he had the luck to be good at that sport in order to fight. Started fighting people from lower divisions, which
yeah,
made him become a
even though
European
I
champion.
think he won like 2 for 2 different weight classes, but the problem is that, yeah, good, he is a world champion, but as soon as he found out he wasn't good enough for other opponents, he just left. Like, even though his record is like 17-19, after those 2 losses, he legit just quit, which doesn't really give him that merit, and that you can really, and that's not really something that you would see from the sportman himself. Tate is not afraid to lie. He even prides himself by saying that he can trick a lie detector. By doing little research, you'll actually find no information that says he's actually a 4-time world kickboxing champion. Even his Wikipedia page has a pending verification for such information. Yet, of course, I'll gladly correct myself when I find that information is verified. As a matter of fact, Mr. Top G retired from the sport after being knocked out in the first round. It isn't really alpha disappearing after losing, so he really isn't a sportsman, isn't he?
I mean, we have to understand that division we have about certain sports such as soccer and other sports is completely different than the one that many people have of kickboxing, boxing, and many other sports. Given that in this type of fighting, like categories and sports, it is really crucial to understand that many people are not successful, that they only have one chance to fight someone, and also the fact that it is also a very risky sport, and that's
for
true.
sure you can get tons of like injuries. I mean, I'm sure Andrew has like CTE or something like
Yeah,
that.
no, Andrew like has said multiple times that one of the main reasons why he retired, apart from the fact that he was starting to grow his business and to expand, was also the fact that when fighting, 2 things. Basically, he mentioned 2 things. The first one is that it's really risky, and he has seen people like in front of him die because of kickboxing. He has seen people die, and also the second thing is that kickboxing, like in what like categories he played and everything, basically he found that in reality it was sometimes what they do in kickboxing is, for example, get 6 guys and have them like fight against each other, and the one that wins the most amount of matches, or the one that resists all the matches, wins. However, Andrew realized that this sport was like not really, let's say, like sometimes you could be the best one, but the fact that you had to fight like the first one and had to fight against 5 different guys, was really different compared from other guys that were not as good as him, but they only had to fight twice that night, and they will be winning thousands of dollars more than him.
Yeah, you're.
And he didn't really like
yeah.
the sport. I mean, he still practices kickboxing and other martial arts, but he realized that he could make more money with his business.
I mean, it's understandable. You, of course, obtained a lot of money from things that he has done, like, for example, businesses and everything, and other questionable, more shady stuff. But we'll get into that later. Now, Andrew is very, very controversial, and it's a problem that he is still, like, his popularity is this big because of an impressionable audience that he has. Like, if you go in a comment section like TikTok and you're like, I mean, we can yeah, but like, if you go right now, it's someone making fun of him. You would see like somebody saying in the comments, "What color is your Bugatti?" You know,
yes,
all that thing. Apart from not knowing how to spell Bugatti, it is true that, like, right as of now, in his ideas, you can instill them in an impressionable audience, and if it looks like he has right now like a hive mind at this point.
I mean, his videos have like millions of likes. And
yeah,
he doesn't really have a TikTok account. I mean, he has one, but he's not active there.
But we'll get to that later,
yeah,
because
we'll
it really, all of that relates to the way he's doing this make money scheme. But anyway, his takes on gender roles, and specifically women, because he for sure values them as inferior to men, and he has done in more than one occasion, like, insult them for no reason at all. Like, for example, I believe, I'll put it later, but you know this clip where he says that, like, there should be more men with swords.
Okay,
so it's funny because, like, you can clearly see that he's taking part in the character and he's trying to be the character. But I'm 100% sure that he believes his views. But the thing is, right, he gets something very, like, weird, well, not weird, like, funny and unexpected, random. Like, for example, saying that the main reason there's so many problems in the world is because, like, men don't have enough swords, and, like, walking around with a sword makes you look cool and, like, alpha, right? But and then he just segues it, like, into making it seem that it's because there's emotional women in the world that are controlling men, and men have to have these swords to be more powerful. And it's complete, and that's just one of the light ones. In other cases, he's, for example, said, for example, why do you think he's in Romania right now? Why do you think he lives in Romania? He literally said in one video,
I think we can find the video.
yeah,
here,
but I'll
yeah.
put it on later in editing.
Okay.
But I'm, like, for example, the video that he said when he went to Romania, it's because, quote, or something like that. He said, "I'm not a rapist. I just want to be free and do whatever I want."
Okay, let me add something to it. He just basically said that he really he enjoys being in Romania because he can be free, and the fact that police there isn't really strict on people. And let me
that, of course, my take and many other people's take is that he meant, like, things related to sexual assault and rape, because you don't mention that if you're not talking about it, which makes him look bad. And I don't think that someone that moves somewhere else because of sexual assault and rape shouldn't be someone that, of course, has the platform that they have, and should instill their values in a young, impressionable audience from the ages of, like, 11 to 14, which is basically damaging our society and ruining, like, the ideological progress that we have had for the last, like, couple of decades. Like, apparently to him, he just wants us to go back to the dark ages and live like cavemen, for example. That's my take.
Okay, so I mean, we will get later into, like, all these allegations and, like, people suspecting that Andrew Tate has committed a sexual assault and many rape cases. But basically, what I just wanted to add is, like, now we're focusing more on how Andrew Tate has let's say, this huge fan page. And, like, I just use my phone in order to look at the comments, and most of the comments are just saying comments supporting him, which usually are, like, commentate,
Tate or commentate W or something like
yeah,
that.
and like videos supporting Tate. And what we will focus now on, like the influences and like the consequences of this, like of Andrew Tate in social media and to society. But it is really important to mention that the fact that, just to clarify, that he has said multiple times that he's just playing with this character, and that many of the things he says, I mean, some things he says are true, but other things he says obviously are false. For example, he has like this word thing he has mentioned in many
Yes,
videos that's false,
but
or for example, he says other things that are true, such as saying that he believes that, for example, in an Instagram story, he said that currently the political problems we have in the world are mainly caused by the USA, for example. That's one comment I saw yesterday. He has many examples.
Yes, I mean,
and some things like
it's not
he really
someone like,
believes
for
them.
example, you can't completely agree. Like, for example, political commentators like Hasanabi, there's things that he can agree with, but they're definitely polar opposites in many other things. Like Tate, like you're saying he's playing a character, but to what extent is he actually playing a character, or just he's not emphasizing and extremely like exaggerating his ideas? Because I honestly think that he believes many things that he's saying, many things that he is portraying, and many things he's telling his audience. But at the end of the day, the man behind the mask is still Andrew Tate. It's not like somebody else. He is still the one that's believing these things, and the way he acts, and the things that he's done in the past. Like, for example, the Brick Brother thing. Like, even though it was consensual. Back in 2016, Tate gained public fame following his removal from the 17th season of Big Brother UK. Following the release of a video in which Tate appeared to beat a woman, he was subsequently removed from the show, and Tate said the actions were consensual. However, more videos came out in which Tate is clearly abusing another woman. In the video in question, the girl points out the bruises on her body, claiming that Andrew Tate beat her. After Tate grabs his belt, the girl leaves the room, locking him inside, which made him say the following.
Baby. Oh, poor thing. I have an idea. Some ideas? You want to know my ideas? Alright, lock the door, you knew I was going to beat the out of you. If you behaved, I wouldn't have to hit you, would I? You don't. Get out. You can't stay in there forever.
He later on said on Twitter, before being banned of course, that he will seek legal action for the leaking of the video, yet it did not go anywhere. There's still other things.
That later.
Well, yeah, but like things that he has done in the past do show that he's a misogynist and he's someone that shouldn't be a role model for anyone.
Yeah, I think that that's a really strong argument. And
but like one more thing is that I understand that like people follow him and people started following him because he does have like them, and he does say things like to like motivate you, or like for hard work and discipline. Something that even though it's good, like there are things that you can find anywhere. Yes. And the problem is that everything that he's saying, it's at the end of the day for to promote his Hustlers University course. I don't think it's anything else but to promote his other business.
Yeah, okay, so basically I think we can get now like we will now get over like Hustlers University, his business, and why it's dangerous, the fact that he uses social media in order to promote certain ways of thought, and we will probably get over that later. But apart from I really just wanted to say two things. The first one is that I really agree with your point to the fact that until what extent is it good to know which character, like the character that he's building.
I meant is, to what extent is it the character, or is it himself?
Okay, so basically, if you have not seen Andrew Tate, basically, he has probably if you enter TikTok, probably he's one of the influencers with the most amount of polarizing ideas. And what you can consider about Andrew Tate is that he has this character, he has said that, but sometimes people have doubts. And these doubts arise after starting to, after people start questioning what some of the ideas he says are just like part of the character and are not really true, and which ideas are in reality true. So for example,
like the incongruent, like you can definitely easily like divide it between the two, because like for example, in most of his clips, well, some in a large proportion of them, he does say misogynistic things, but like the other half is something completely incongruent. Like for example, the sword thing. Like the problem is that he uses that in the same, like he first of all he starts with a problem, and then gives another scenario, like gives a built-in scenario to favor his point, and then he's done it more than once, blaming a woman, like bring women into the picture and completely say that it's their fault, which at the end of the day, it's dehumanizing them and making them seem like they're the problem when they're not. It's completely disregarding them like a second-class citizen and basically blaming them for something that they haven't done. Like as a collective, I don't think they're the reason. Like for example, the Taliban just won over in Afghanistan, or why COVID was a thing. Even though in this case, Andrew Tate doesn't really believe in COVID, as we've seen, but of course, the problem that mainly people have is his polarizing ideas, his controversial ideas, and the way, like, of course, regarding like gender roles and women, because at the end of the day, he's just saying completely misogynistic things. So no matter if he's saying something incongruent first, no matter if it's a character, at the end of the day, it's still people that are going to blindly follow what he says and actually think that what actually adopt his ideals and make them their own.
Yeah, so I really wanted to focus on what Mark said about the incongruency in Andrew Tate, as for example, he's talking about how Andrew Tate has this misogynistic character, and it is true that in most of his posts, I think that he uses these incongruencies and this kind of character with a lot of polarizing ideas and controversial in order to attract a larger audience and to have bigger numbers and a greater repercussion, we could say. But as well, and like for example, these statements include saying that the fact that now the Taliban have conquered, you know what clip I'm talking about?
I think so.
The fact that Afghanistan has now like been conquered by the Taliban, by Afghanistan now is under the Taliban rule, is because of women's fault. I mean, he said another word, but
yeah,
he said woman. You know which clip I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And
well,
let me explain.
Also, one thing that is important, that Andrew Tate doesn't refer to women as like women or girls. He refers to them as female, right? So it's in a way, and of course, in a way, of course, it's that's an insult. In a way,
the way he
it's
says
an
it,
insult.
it's an insult. But for example, we could say females, and or someone random could say females, and for them that could not be an insult. But for Andrew Tate, that's an insult. And
for sure, like the man says it like the way he vocalizes females.
Yeah, but sometimes
it's an insult.
But sometimes he doesn't say females and he says other words that I'm not allowed to say here.
Of course.
But also, what I really wanted to say is that, like, sometimes he says these misogynistic ideas, but other times, in other videos, we can see that are not so popular because he doesn't have these polarizing ideas and like this clickbait. He says, I believe that like women should be treated right, blah blah blah, and you know, and it's kind of incongruent the fact that in the clips where he has the most amount of views, he's talking about like he's saying basically misogynistic stuff and other stuff and other type of stuff, while in the videos with less amount of views, he's kind of like acting like a normal person does. I mean, with some right-wing ideas. Well, most of them are right-wing. But
he's affiliated to the MAGA movement. Of course, I wouldn't say some, all of them.
Not all of them. What I want to say now, for example, I just checked.
Well, except the United States. one.
Yesterday, I was looking at my home. I was scrolling through TikTok, and like many people, I have seen this video like multiple times, and he says that in reality, he may feel more right wing, like he feels like he's a person with a right wing ideology, but he also agrees with some ideas that are not from that movement.
No, yeah.
Yeah, for
because
example, he has said that
some-
he believes that in a universal basic healthcare system
That's
and
new.
and many other ideas. He has said like many ideas that usually are considered and are like affiliated with left-wing parties. He has said that multiple times in many TikToks the fact that he agrees with those points
I
of
mean, he
view
lives
and that
in
he agrees
Romania
that
for a reason.
yeah, and exactly
Apart from the illegal stuff, but like we'll get into that.
he
later.
agrees like I mean he agrees with that point and like he believes in some ideas that are really left-wing, and he has said that in reality
I mean,
he's not attached.
A healthcare system, like a free
Yeah, that's
universal
an
healthcare
example.
system, is not really. It's not really well, completely like very left.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean
you,
basically it's
most
an example.
countries
It's the one that
except,
like the first he
most
mentioned.
countries except like 2 or 3. Of course, this being an exaggeration, but most countries except like 2 or 3, like they have a free healthcare system. Like
No,
look
not
at
really.
all of Europe.
Yeah, all of Europe, but get into second world or third world countries,
Of
and
course.
that's not the same idea, and that's
But-
why Andrew Tate.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah, you know, I understand you, but we have to understand that he's not just purely an extreme right person that has become popular on TikTok. No, he's someone that uses a character in order to most of the times state and like make some statements regarding political ideas or social ideas that are usually the ones that a person with an extreme, probably right
You see,
Right,
that's the problem. Like I don't think
right wing ideas a person will say, but sometimes it's the other way around. And I think it's really important to people that normally younger generations that are using internet to kind of differentiate and be able to distinguish between what's the character, what's not, what is this person
But how are you
saying
going to
as a
tell
joke.
that to like an 11-year-old? They're impressionable audiences and they believe it. And that's the thing. And
That's
also
the
talking
problem
about
with
the
Andrew
character,
Tate.
that's the thing that I think we disagree on. I honestly believe that Andrew Tate, like behind the words that he's saying, he genuinely believes most of them. Like, it's weird that someone who has a history of using women as like, for example, using women as a way to get financial income, and who uses women and treats them like property. It's weird for me to believe that that's just a character. Like, the thing is that you're talking about the obviously exaggerated persona, or like the way he portrays himself to the internet to try and obtain more people, right? And of course that's something different, right? And of course he's different to what he actually is.
Yeah.
So like you have Andrew Tate and then you have Andrew Tate II. Even though they're the same ideas, it's still, one is an exaggeration and one is a sort of, to a certain extent, a character, right?
Yeah, and
But then you have things that he has done in the past, like his business in the United Kingdom.
yeah, we
etc.
will talk
We
about
will
that
talk
later.
about that.
But now I think for you, if it's fine for me just to close like this idea about character and everything, I would like to talk about probably how is it an issue, the fact that nowadays everyone is born with a phone in their hands, everyone is born with TikTok, and everyone can just enter TikTok, and if you scroll thrice, you will end up seeing
In
Andrew Tate. Yeah,
Andrew Tate's backyard. You
Yeah.
end up there.
yeah, but you will see basically just TikToks about like Andrew Tate and how some of his ideas, and the fact that these ideas that personally are misogynistic, most of them are misogynistic, and kind of, as Mark said, kind of a little bit in the past. I think the fact that those ideas can be so easily spread, can so easily be put into kids' minds and like young people that do not have really this criteria in order to differentiate between like what's something good, what's a character, what's a joke.
And that's why
it's something
people,
dangerous.
They're young people that whatever they see popular, they're going to be like following it, because of course people when they're younger, individuals when they're younger, children, they also want to fit in, and they also want to be
they tend to follow the role models.
Exactly. Now, the problem is that if we have these certain individuals as role models, we're basically destroying our society's values and ideological proverbs.
Yes, I mean,
because like at the end of the day, firstly, I think we should talk about how Andrew's spreading his ideas with his course Hustlers University, which
wait, can I say something before we start talking about Hustlers University? So just like closing with this argument, I think ending everything up, I think we should mention the fact that people, especially younger people, try to look for their role models. They try to follow the role models and try to fit in society, and they do not have this criteria in order to know what's good, what's bad. Yeah, good and bad, everything's subjective. We have to remember that, and everyone can take the opinion, whatever, like the opinion, whatever, every opinion, and like everyone can have different ideas, but we should remember that the fact that ideas can be so easily spread, and the fact that you can convince someone that, for example, it's the woman's fault that certain thing in the world is happening, and just use a couple of clips that are manipulated and just include some certain fragments of the video rather than telling the whole story about a certain issue,
but
can really influence people. And I think that we should make people aware of this, and that's the most important thing. Like, you can follow Andrew Tate if you find him funny, if you are with some of the ideas, like with some of his ideas, if you agree with everything he says. But please, like, everyone should take into account that he's most of the time using a character, sometimes he's not, and that we should be able to find the difference between when he's saying the truth, when he's saying just like random ideas, and when he's saying ideas that in reality are more destructive ideas rather than innovative or creative ideas.
But that's the problem. Like, he is his character to a certain extent. He is his character, and his views and his ideas and ideals of what women are doing to a world. The problem is that they are destructive. Like, they are already destructive, and obviously. And the thing is that if you watch his entire videos, like, I've seen certain, like, for example, this is a way he's gotten more popular by being in calls and live streams with like people like Aiden Ross, or debating people like, for example, XQC, but, and of course Hassan, and of course Hassan himself, he's also done it before, or like some days and weeks ago. And
basically, I just wanted like to say something, if I'm not interrupting.
Yeah.
And it's that the fact that Andrew Tate tries to Andrew Tate tries to kind of explain and expand this idea of alpha masculinity, showing how now in TikTok you have many kind of mindset. You have the beta, the alpha, or the sigma mindset, and that's the one he defends, like being alpha males, being strong men that do not rely on women, that just work out every time, that smoke cigars, or like try to pretend to look like mafia bosses, and like have luxurious cars, and that, for example, in some of his streams he's surrounded by 6 or 7 models, and he's trying to portray this false reality of masculinity. And for me, that's the biggest issue, the fact that he tries to portray a false idea of masculinity, like saying like
instilling a different, like, he's instilling masculinity into a young audience. So then when they grow up, what they want to be is like him. Now the problem is that each like this I feel like this definition of what a man is supposed to be is completely wrong, as of course it's directly rooted with like former gender roles, and as but what I believe is like, for example, Andrew has said in the past, right? Um like when talking to XQC, right? That a man's duty is to protect a girl, right? But that is, well, in this scenario, of course, we want to explain it. He is debating with a popular streamer, Twitch
About-
streamer,
yeah.
XQC.
What happens if someone
And
enters in your house and like you're with your wife?
One someone, no, like a couple of individual. Well, yeah, this is the one with the house. Yeah, if someone
want-
enters your house, right, who's armed, you don't have any.
And they want to steal something.
Yeah, they want to steal something and you don't have anything. And Andrew believes that you should walk down and
like-
try to confront the person when you are upstairs with your girlfriend. Now, XUC on the other hand, he believes that he, instead of believing that men should like protect their women, he is thinking about he believes that it's all about safety. Now, I agree in that certain point, like as a member of a communal identity, as a member of a community, instead of not as a man or woman, as a member of a community, your duty, or you must protect the ones that are most significant to you, but not ensure their safety. If your safety is to stay upstairs and not go down there, because one, that is completely illogical. If you go downstairs, then the thief is going to take you out both in different ways and make it easier to take you out both. As if you go down, you could get killed, and then your girlfriend is defenseless. So honestly, the idea, what should happen is humans should be treated as members of a community that must preserve, and they must stay alive and they must be safe. So this believe that all the alpha male must protect their woman. They must be at the top of the. They must be the breadwinner.
Like Matthew does.
It's sad at some point, and it's completely surreal as to what humans, I think, are engineered to do. We live in a communal society. We must stay like that, ignoring, of course, whatever people believe that which I don't deny at any certain point. But for example, humans are greedy, etc. We're still a communal society. Like back when we were cavemen, right? We lived in groups. We ensured each other's safety by protection. But that's the key word. Safety comes over protection, because safety is protection.
And safety doesn't come back. Doesn't really need to come with a word, man.
Exactly. And like it's the same thing. We also created a scenario, right? Which is like a man must protect the woman again, where like you have like 6 buff men, for example, that are coming to your girl, right? And the man and Andrew asks XQC. Well, Andrew believes first that he should like go and stand up to the men and try to like punch them or something, and get in a fight with them. The problem is that those men, if they are significantly stronger than you, like in this case, XQC is not someone incredibly strong, right? Neither am I, right? Like if I were to be the problem, Andrew is still a kickboxing champion, right? But even those 6 men who are incredibly buff come to you and your girl and they want something from you, the ideal choice, if you want to ensure their safety, you don't go and punch one like the toughest guy. You run. You try to run and try to protect both you and your significant other as a member of like a communal society that tries to ensure safety, not protection. Because at the end of the day, that's not protection. That's you're leaving. At the end of the day, that's not protection, because the girl is going to still be defenseless, no matter if it's a girl or a man. If let's just say it was the other way around, and the woman decides to throw the punch, it's still going to be the same thing.
But
the best idea is to run.
But if you go downstairs, you're also defenseless. Doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. You have to understand that for me, at least, like what you said, like I really agree with everything you said. Like with everything, I really agree. But the fact that you are leaving your girl defenseless, probably,
That's not really alpha, Ismail. That's not really very alpha if
Yeah,
you
but
leave
you-
someone defenseless. No, you're supposed to protect them.
yeah,
You're supposed to be a kickboxing champion.
but what I'm saying is that for me at least. So basically, if I'm in a fight and I'm with my wife, for example, I'm losing, fighting against someone and I'm losing, and why can't my wife help me? Like, should the man always defend the woman?
I mean,
I don't agree with that statement.
right.
At least, and
Listen.
that's why I believe that it is not really like the man's job to help the woman. I think they are a couple. I mean, they are together. Then I think it should be 50-50 at least for me.
So in this case, you're against what he's saying.
Yeah,
right?
most of it, probably, I would say 99.999% I'm against what.
Like,
Andrew
I
Tate
am
says.
fully against what he's saying. I've already stated that.
Yeah, I mean,
Of my
I
idea
agree
of,
with most of the ideas.
of
Some of them.
community instead of gender roles, it's a different approach, but I think it's the appropriate one if we're trying, and it also reflects like our society as a whole and how it's progressed. Because I don't, if you were to say, oh, the man is supposed to defend the woman, sadly, like some years, like some decades and centuries ago,
And still now.
it's sadly that still now there's some people that still believe it. Like they still believe that women are supposed to be like the inferior one in the power structure and in the
Yeah,
in the
I think
relationship.
it's probably because some of these ideas that are related to like being a man and kind of being a gentleman in reality, I think many of those ideas people still do not realize the fact that some of them are a bit misogynistic.
Yes.
I'm not like for me. I mean, you have to be a gentleman. I mean,
No, but
I mean-
you're thinking of like a
For example-
you're thinking of a 1500s gentleman. You're not you. That's what you're talking about. You're not
Yeah.
talking about like because for me right now, a gentleman is someone that like treats like women and everyone with respect. It's and like someone who is a respectable individual, not someone that hates groups or like doesn't try to create someone that's basically not a horrible person, and someone that is in this case not Andrew Tate.
Yeah, exactly. Like, for example, some of the ideas of a gentleman must open the. For example, a gentleman must open the car door and let the woman pass.
But it can go both
I mean,
ways either way.
Yeah, either way, exactly. So I'm just saying
A
that
gentle woman.
exactly like some ideas that Andrew Tate for me like are quite misogynistic, and I think like relating to everything we're just talking about and like relating to that, I think probably that's one of the biggest flaw I can find in Andrew Tate. And now I think maybe we could start concluding and speaking about Hustlers University.
Yeah, and before that, also talking about let's address the elephant in the room and how Mr. Tate currently is being investigated by the firstly, right? He's currently being investigated by the Romanian law enforcement, right? The investigation is still open, but it's for sex trafficking. The problem is that he gives a version of the story that knowing that, obviously someone is capable and would create a story to try and change the narrative and try to make it seem that that's not what's actually happened. Try to lie. So because I don't think.
How can you assume he's lying?
How can you
No.
The problem is that it makes sense because he owned a webcam industry. It was not an industry, a company, right?
Yeah.
He used girls.
He says everything is legal, so
Most of Tate's money came from a shady adult entertainment webcam business where it is said that he exploited the woman that worked for him.
Webcam business. You're gonna stay. You're gonna live in London. I'm gonna look after you, and we're gonna get rich. We're gonna be a team. And they're all like, "Well, who's this?" I'm like, "She's my girlfriend. She's my girlfriend. She's my girl. You're all my chicks, and you're gonna stay here, and we're gonna make some money."
Furthermore, he said that, quote, over 50% of the employees were actually my girlfriend at the time. None were in the adult entertainment industry before they met me. Something that is quite frankly shady and looks like some sort of pressure was put on the girls by Tate himself. He then continued by saying that his job was to, quote, get women to fall in love with me, to where she'd do anything that I'd say and get her on webcam, overall sounding very fishy and reaffirming the existence of his online pimping empire. As of now, he is living in Romania for several reasons. Specifically, the UK police raided his house. YouTuber Turkey Tom explains it very well in his expose video.
You may think that the two brothers moved to Romania to avoid regulation, taxation, or maybe even litigation groups. But in reality, it was because UK police raided Andrew's home. A dispute between a cam girl and Tate led to her reporting to the police that she had been beaten by him. In response, his home was raided and Tate was put under arrest. Andrew Tate explains this further on the Fresh and Fit podcast.
Got her by her two arms and marched her out the door, locked the door, end of it. She starts texting me, you owe me my last month's wages, you owe me my money, give me my money. Did I text her back? I ain't paying you nothing, you threw up my blah, 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 blah. She went to the police.
Oh, shit.
And told the police I hit her.
Lastly, one of the most shocking things comes from a now deleted video where he says the following about his relocation to Romania.
Convenient reasons why he wants to live in Romania.
So Romania is absolutely corrupt. It's a corruption that everyone can participate in.
Say, no, fuck this. But I like the idea of being able to just say to do what I want.
Laws don't really apply to you. If they made a law in the UK I was unhappy with, I'd just leave. And if they made a law in Romania where I live I'm unhappy with, I would just leave.
As you can see, Tate says that he's no rapist and that he moved to Romania to be free. The video is fairly old, so we do not see the exaggeration we might get with a current Andrew Tate clip. We can conclude that this is what he truly believes and there is no trace of some sort of character in his speech, leaving everyone mortified in this belief.
Well, it's suspicious, but
like
since he's giving his version, and we must believe that he's innocent. I mean, for the moment, unless there are other clues.
I agree, like,
we
to
must
a certain
assume
extent, like, look, we can follow the innocent until proven guilty, but knowing the tendencies and who he is as a character, it's hard not to think, oh, this person could be a sex trafficker.
Yeah.
Like, for example, let's talk about why he's not in the United Kingdom, right? He's not in the United Kingdom. Right?
The police.
Yeah.
Okay.
Firstly, the police raided his home where he had like a couple of women who they worked for him. No, it was more than one. It was more than one. They worked for him, and they worked to like do explicit videos in a webcam, and men and individuals, right, who were desperate. Random individuals would pay for them to do certain things, and of course, I don't really, in this case, I don't really condone it, as even though sex, I'm not. What I'm saying is I don't agree with it, as this is not talking about sex work itself, but specifically the fact that he took like 80% of the profits. Well, 80% of the income they generated, it was for him.
That's the contract.
When it's not even
that's the contract he's giving the girls. If the girls accept it, then that's what has been proposed. They accept it. I mean, they continue working for him. That's it.
Is that
for you it's not legal, and for you it will be a 50-50, or the girl will be earning everything.
It's not even his.
Like, but that's his offer, and if the girl accepts
the
that
problem
offer,
is that we don't know.
It's totally legal.
Like,
and
there's
totally
rumors
fine.
and everything saying that they accepted the offer because of the pressure. Not even that. Because at the beginning, he even says that he did it for free, right? And the problem is that it's a business that almost looks like he's holding them captive to a certain degree.
But how can you prove
the pressure? You can't really prove it, but the problem is that the way he speaks about it and the clips that he says and talks about it, and like explanations that you can give to the certain events and how they raided his home, found tons of women there, and the police had to search every single piece of electronics.
Nothing was found, I think.
I don't know about that.
Nothing was found.
I don't know that, but the problem is that I'm just explaining the events. I'm not that doesn't relate to my point,
Okay.
but it's weird, right? And the explanations that he gives and like what you can infer from what he's saying is that there has to be some illegal things there. As well as in talking about illegal things, he also owns like casinos he even says that he owns casinos in Romania that are funded by the Romanian mafia, where
Well, some of them are funded by him. He has said in multiple videos the fact that some of the casinos he has bought some casinos are not like his casinos, but others. He has said in multiple videos that he started his enterprises in Romania by like contacting the kickboxing
Yes,
world
he
and
used to-
saying,
he-
"I want to build casinos." He started building casinos because he was familiar with that type of world. And also, can I just say something about all the investigations that have been occurring with Andrew Tate? Basically, I mean, everything is weird, and people suspect that there is some illegal stuff occurring. But what happened basically was that this has been explained, and like the police have said that Andrew Tate was set free as there were no.
In bail, right? I believe
Yeah,
he
there
was
were
bailed.
no.
He was bailed out.
There were
I
no.
believe.
There was no evidence in order to prove that that girl was being held captive, and that
But Isma,
he was sex
Isma,
he was doing sex
the
trafficking.
investigation is still open. You can't really
Ah,
assume
okay,
that.
I'm talking about the previous one.
What previous one? I'm talking about the one in Romania where the girl was, where he says that the boyfriend did blah blah blah, etc.
No,
That
I'm
one.
talking about another one in Romania.
Okay, so there's one more.
Yes. No, but
And
this
you're
is-
telling me that doesn't sound incredibly fishy. It doesn't sound weird that there's already 2 investigations against this guy, and you're saying that he's definitely not a sex trafficker. The fact, even though like we can't really assume that he is a sex trafficker or not, the fact that he also talks about his deals with the mafia and everything.
I mean,
It's very, very fishy to know that this guy, who in a video said that, "Oh, I'm not a rapist. I just want to be free, so I moved to Romania."
because he can buy the police, and like he can just basically
He
pay
can,
them 100
because
euros.
he wants to live in a corrupt system where he can be free to sexually assault whoever he wants.
Let me say 2 things. First one, the fact that he's living in Romania. He has explained his version is that
By
many
saying
times
he's also
he
not a
stopped like
rapist.
by
He said that in the video. I can pull
many
it up
times.
right now.
I can pull out also a video in which he states that he has been many times like stopped by the police because he was driving too fast, and the fact that
He pays them.
he had many problems with like driving and like with his driver's ID, because like they can take your driver's ID away if you are not respecting the law. He said that for him, the fact that he knows we live in a corrupt system, for him is just, it doesn't make for him a lot of sense, the fact that some people have access to this corrupt system and he can't have access to it.
But that's the wrong
And
mentality you should have.
It's a wrong mentality, obviously.
Like,
I'm
why
not,
should
I'm not
you-
defending
no,
that
no.
mentality.
Why should you be like? The problem is that his mentality is to continue and be part of the corrupt system instead of trying to tackle it. It completely neglects the
He
possibility
knows that's
of,
not possible. At least
even though he knows it's not possible. Why be part of it?
that's his own mentality. And secondly, I just want to say that all the investigation, the first one he had, it has been proven that that girl.
As far as I'm aware, the only investigation that there has been
Okay,
is still
so-
open, so we can't really draw
I mean-
conclusions with that. I'm sorry, but it's just true. He could either be it or be not.
No,
Until
but
until he's not proven guilty or innocent,
We
I'm
can
sorry, but we can't say anything. We can
But
infer and give our own
with
opinions because, like for example, I don't agree with what he said and what he's done, and my personal belief is that there's a high possibility that he has some relations to that type of crime.
I think basically, what I would just like to say is that with this investigation, the one you're mentioning, the girl that called the police, that had like her house was raided, then it was proven that nothing was found at home, nothing that other homes he has.
But
and at his,
that's what he's saying. He could probably fabricate the story perfectly.
no, because there has been official reports made by the Romanian police, in which, and these basically these reports have stated that for the moment Andrew Tate has been set free, as there are no clues, there is no evidence in order to say that he's guilty of committing the crimes that he was accused of, and the fact that for the moment this investigation will continue to be investigated. But this is something normal that occurs with all police investigations, but nothing has been found, so for the moment we have to assume that he's innocent, but I'm not defending his
I
behavior,
am-
and I'm not defending
The
the fact
problem,
that
right?
it sounds weird.
it's incredibly fishy and weird the way like these allegations and how common they are
But
regarding
if
like
they are false,
the problem is that
they are
if they're
false
false,
allegations and they have been proven to be false. I mean, the investigation continues to develop, and the investigation
problem
is
is-
still
why would
occurring, but
the
it's false.
if it's false, why would the investigation still be open?
Because
even though,
it's
like-
protocol. It's protocol. Basically,
it's
they continue
protocol, then-
investigating Andrew Tate, his background, and everything.
But
And
they've
if they
been-
found something that can be related
But
to
they've
the
been
act
doing
of
this
investigation,
since April. It's weird that they
I
still
think it's
doing
May. I
it.
think it's May. I'm not sure.
April is when he was being investigated by the Romanian
Investigations
police.
take out of time.
Investigations do take out a lot of time, but
Protocol,
saying that
bureaucracy.
and like saying you're basing yourself with what he said in a podcast or like what he said in a clip,
We can.
it's not really what we should do.
And the Romanian police.
So
has
the
shown
Romanian police
reports.
has showed you reports like, hey, Mr. Minuesa, here are the
No,
reports.
I'm saying
I
that.
am the Romanian mafia. No, sorry, the Romanian police. Here are the reports
No,
that
but
Mr.
basically what I'm saying.
Andrew Tate II
I mean,
is
you can
not a
believe-
sex trafficker.
You don't believe.
I cannot really base myself on anything, but what I do believe is that he has some connections to those type of crimes.
Yeah, I mean, he has those type. He had.
Do you agree that there's some type of connection between Andrew Tate and those types of crimes? Yes or no?
Which type of crimes? Sorry.
Sexual assault and sex trafficking. Anything related to the abuse of somebody else in a
Do
sexual
you want me
manner.
to give my opinion? Maybe he's still innocent. I would have to believe that he's innocent unless there is evidence to say that he's guilty. But for the moment, I think that he's almost trespassing the line of illegality. But I want to say that if these investigations were occurring in other countries that were not Romania, he will be like, he will be in jail.
He is in Romania to evade the U.S. authorities. That's incredibly clear because that's basically what he says. The Daily Beast reported in April 2022 that Tate's mansion was raided by Romanian authorities in connection with a human trafficking and rape probe, triggered by accusations that an American woman was being detained against her will at the property. Authorities in Romania discovered both a Romanian woman and an American woman on the property. Turkey Tom goes in full detail in his expose video.
On the evening of April 11th, 2022, Romanian police would kick down the door to the Tate brothers' shared mansion. The internet would instantly begin speculating the reason as to why Andrew and Tristan were arrested. After news broke via news articles by American newspaper The Daily Beast, it was confirmed that they were arrested under suspicion of human trafficking. The hit piece, King of Toxic Masculinity in Human Trafficking Investigation, would gather much notoriety online. YouTubers would upload critiques of Tate following his arrest in Romania, where further details of his earlier escapades, such as the prior videos of him beating women, were unearthed. All of this contributed to the idea that the Tate brothers were guilty of the charges, and maybe even on the run from authorities for their crimes. Of course, Twitter also got involved following the arrest. A series of memes parodying Tate's infamous Star Wars tweet were posted, ridiculing Tate's character and arrest. A thread by Twitter user Bimbo Isis, like the Daily Beast article, sought to expose Tate for many of his past controversies and his connections to far-right political figures such as Paul Joseph Watson. Sources claimed the investigation was launched after a young woman from the USA claimed she had been abducted by the Tate brothers. During the raids, the police discovered another young woman from Romania who, in turn, claimed that she was forcibly kept in the house by the Tate brothers. The investigation had been extended to cover not only human trafficking, but also crimes such as rape. The mother of the young Romanian woman found by the police claimed her daughter's naivete had been exploited. It was the boyfriend of the young American who managed to alert authorities to the supposed captivity of his girlfriend. In a statement on the raid to the Daily Beast, a U.S. State Department spokesperson alluded to a reported abduction of an American citizen, but declined to comment further. We are aware of the reports of a U.S. citizen held against their will in Romania, the spokesperson said. Due to privacy considerations, we have no further comment.
Romanian authorities stated that the investigation is currently still open, yet knowing the past and illegal activities he is related to, everything is possible. And the funny thing is that, right, in Romania, he's operating the Ponzi scheme that we know as Hustlers University.
And he says also one thing, that he says he lives in Eastern Europe because there are beautiful women there.
Yeah, yeah. But he's also said, I live in Romania, I'm not a rapist. I'm gonna say this a quintillion times, but it's just incredibly, why would you say I'm not a rapist? when he's talking
Because people maybe assume that he's a
no,
racist. and
but like he
Really?
said that 40% of the reasons he is in Romania right now is because he wants to evade sexual assault charges.
True.
So
I mean, that's true. That's true.
that's the type of individual that we should not use as a role model for our children and for our young pre-adolescent
Yeah.
teenagers. It's not someone that you want in your household. It's
But-
just, and the problem is that
Has
I
he
think
been
we should.
proven guilty? No. And secondly,
The
also to say
investigation
that
is still
there
open.
is beautiful women in Eastern Europe, which is also kind of weird. And lastly, the fact that he, during his kickboxing career, he made a lot of friendships, and he started business during his kickboxing career in Eastern Europe. So I think that's also one of the main arguments. And talking about Andrew Tate business, I think we can just talk about the final part of this.
Yeah, is we have to talk about his business model and how it's, well,
People believe it's a
it's a
pyramid scheme. I
it's
think it's called.
it's a pyramid scheme. It completely is one. It's a Ponzi scheme. He's something that he's basically returning investors with another investor's money. The problem is that in many countries this is completely illegal because of the tendency of it to be an incredibly corrupt system. So basically, this is how the system works. There's someone at the top who convinces other people to fund his
Let's say
system.
that
and
person
then
convinces 2 people.
Yeah, the
No,
problem.
5 people.
but
And then
like-
these 5 people, each person
It's
each
just a
convinces
pyramid.
another 5 people.
Now the problem
5
is
people
that
more.
the problem is that this system itself, how does he get people into joining the system is by promising a high return rate. So wasn't it like a 50% of the first month or something like that with
Okay, let me see.
Hustlers University 2.0?
Okay, so basically let me explain Hustlers University as know a lot of things about that university, well, not a university, but about this type of business, let's say. So basically, Hustlers University is an online course in which you can see Andrew Tate. Basically, he's talking to a webcam and he's explaining what are the key aspects that make him become successful and become rich. He proves this by explaining how he became successful from nothing, by having like nothing and then becoming really rich, and as well talking about how he knows a lot of people like that are rich, and he has a lot of contacts. Talking about also how these people became rich, and it's usually the target audience is people, normal people that are not rich and that want and seek to become rich and powerful. So basically, Andrew Tate uses TikTok. I mean, he doesn't have an account, but many accounts promote him, and like more and more accounts.
Right.
Like
Basically,
more accounts.
what he gets is
follow-
people to promote him by this thing called affiliate marketing, which is basically like you try and recruit more people, as we were stating.
Yeah, and they receive part of the benefit.
Yeah, and basically, if you go into all these clip accounts, right, and you go into the description, is direct link to their affiliate link marketing.
and to Hustlers University.
Yeah, which is basically a way to try and get more people.
Yeah, so basically, I mean, these people receive a bonus if more people join. So basically, explain just what Hustler University is. Like, all these courses, these online courses. For example, you can find in TikTok some of those courses. I mean, they are like 10 minutes, I think. Yeah, 10-20 minute videos. And it's many lessons, many topics. Basically, Andrew just explains how to become rich. There is, I think, other people being featured in those videos. Tristan.
As
other-
of now, I think like in 2.0, he uses like professors that he has appointed. Like for example, in 1.0, it was actually him because I've seen videos
Or the
where
one
he
point
just
same.
he teaches you how to do fraud and how to scam people, but that's something else. And the problem is that the problem with checking the reliability of the course itself is checking, like, if you see the videos of people, the problem with these videos is that most of them, they're like in YouTube saying, why Hustlers University is what you should invest into and get. The problem with it is that these people are part of the system.
It's fraud. I mean,
like
It's stealing your money, but let me say
no,
something.
and the problem is that if you actually go to people that are actually giving honest reviews, like this person that I saw, I'll put the video up later. But what he says is that he's doing the option of he's trading options with it, right? And the professor is telling them what they should do. At the end of the day, he loses money. He's telling, and then he tells people like right after them, like yeah,
Some people are
most-
earning money.
some people.
it's-
Like I understand
I
there's a
think-
person that we know that is getting
No, but-
got money from this.
Many people are earning money.
Many people could be earning money.
The
but to, like, a
majority,
certain point.
are earning money.
Like,
but
do you know, like this person that we know, right? He got money from the program itself.
Yeah.
But the problem is that if I can do it, like I can do it, so you can, is just completely survivor bias and shouldn't really be considered because you possibly 99% of the time will not make it.
So I mean,
Like for
analyzing
example,
this from a
exactly.
business point of view, I mean, it's just 40 euros, and I know
50.
people. Okay, before it was 40, I think. So, I mean, this
a
program
month,
is
$50 a month,
is becoming
which is
very
like
money.
5 Netflix accounts,
Yeah.
5 Spotify accounts.
It's becoming very successful, and
He has like what 140 million.
I don't know. The majority of people,
140,000 something.
are
like that.
becoming like earning profit. But the thing is that with this type of schemes, in which probably the way they tell you to earn money is basically starting your own businesses, investing in certain stuff.
Yeah, but do you know how to make your own business? Exactly, right? So
I
this
mean-
is how he says it, right? He basically tells you how to do fraud and how to do another like a mini Fonzie scheme. You make a business for like hypothetical this is how he says it. Hypothetical $5,000, and you wait until people like you put like fake pictures and everything. You wait until people buy the product, and then you start making the product, and then get people to buy, and then make the product. Basically, doing it like making promises and something that I don't believe is quite legal. You
Okay.
can't really offer a product that you don't really have.
The fact is that
It like
Andrew is referring like what he offers and promotes as like being keys to be successful in business empire. They are
it's to be
not really,
illegal.
they are kind of in between this line between legal and illegal stuff. But most of the stuff he teaches in the course are basic knowledge you will find
That's
in
the problem,
the
you're
first years of a business degree.
Not even that. You can probably find it online perfectly.
Yeah, it's more difficult. And
Of
not
course,
really-
I mean, if it's
more
not a
like-
business degree, like the problem is that you're basically using $50, and it's things, right? You could probably get another like a business degree, and those things are you can easily find them online. Like for example, I'm trying to major in like some sort of engineering. I can already get things from people that have already done like 3 years of degree before me, which I'm already getting.
Yes.
So it's basically, most people would consider it a waste of money. Like for example, when you trade options, people have lost tons of money because the professor is not making the correct predictions, and this is of course said like
Majority of people are earning money. We have to say
with
that.
the
But
options.
small
not so
profit.
true.
Some people are earning small profit. Others are using small amount of money.
People have,
Some-
I know people like I've seen people lose like over $300 in one night. Like there's if the problem
But
is
that's
that
because
if you like for example what I was saying, this person that was trading options, the way the thing is that the professor tells them you should do what I do, copy and paste what I'm doing. The professor, which is who Andrew Tate appointed, told them to do a certain set of trading.
stock market. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes you earn, sometimes you lose.
Sometimes
I
you
think that's
lose. The problem is that if this person did it for like a couple of days and saw they were losing big time, so a significant amount of money they've been losing when you need at least like $2,000 to actually start trading options, and I don't think anyone is willing to lose $2,000 like that
Yeah, I mean,
unless you have like quintillion million
Let me
trillions.
see.
I don't
I
think
think
it's worth it.
that's the problem. That for you it makes him a fraud, but in reality, it's just teaching you. Most of those are to teach you how to start your own business. Secondly, how to start investing in the stock market, and that's the problem. That once you see those courses and like do this stuff that
You-
this professor tells you, and you, for example, let's say you earn $100, then you're going to start operating in your own, and that's the risk with the stock market, that not everyone can enter a stock market, not everyone can
No, but
buy
I'm saying
and
this person
sell
who-
actions or
No, but
like,
I'm saying this person, right, that I'm talking about is someone that like is very like their entire YouTube channel relies on the stock market, and seeing what I've seen about what they're saying and the tips that they're giving, apart from them being better than what Hustlers University promotes and gives, he did this. He lost money by following the instructions given to him by the professor. So at the end of the day, you're like
market.
the problem is that this is the stock market, but you're defending like a system that you're not even in yourself. So I don't know what you're saying at this point.
Let me say something. I know people. We know a friend. We have a friend in common, and this friend probably, I mean, is earning a lot of money. But like before Hustlers University, we had this friend. He was earning a lot of money just by investing. Like his dad knows how to invest, and you know, he was earning a lot of money, and this person knows a lot and has a lot of knowledge.
No, in economics, he knows a lot about stock and everything.
Yeah,
But like
he
if
knows
you like
a lot, and basically he paid Hustlers University, and he basically, let's say, after watching many lessons and everything, one day he invested, and this is legit, I mean 100%, he invested 1,000 euros in total. He earned 3,000 euros, which means that's 2,000 euros in profit in one night. And
in one night.
in one night.
So
In one night.
did he invest all of the money into like
No,
one share?
no,
Or
many shares.
Did
Many
he
shares.
do like like what's it called, ESP 500? I don't know what it's called.
I think he invested in many
SP
shares.
500?
Many shares.
So the problem is that
That's what that person. I mean, that
the
person
problem is
told
that
me that.
I think that person, right?
And he told me it's
He-
true. I mean,
I'm
it
not
depends.
denying it. I'm not denying it, but I think that the tips that are given in Hustlers University, I've done my research for it. I've checked
The video.
leaked
Video.
videos,
I have also watched. them.
and I think that information is
Some of them for
too
me
much. It's too, no, it's not too much. Sorry, I mean it's
common knowledge. For
it's
me.
common
Basically,
knowledge, not even common knowledge, because there's probably some things that you would probably
Yeah,
not
there are
know.
many things I don't
But
know
you
for me.
have like with a simple, well, not a simple Google search, but with a Google search, you can find everything. If you go to like or you can find it in a book, in places that actually, from people that are actual experts in economics
But
and what they're
for
doing.
many people, Andrew Tate is an expert as he became, well, he's a millionaire due to, I mean, that type of business, and that's why people trust him, because they find him as a person in which they can trust, as it's their
The
role
problem is
model,
that
and
his
that
money,
person,
his money was obtained from practices like, for example, the webcam industry and everything, which is not
yeah,
very
casino.
similar to the model that he's promoting. Even though,
But he has other businesses, like he has many businesses.
of
like,
course,
he's
he's a businessman.
the
The
webcam
problem
is just one of those.
Yeah, the problem is that his entire character and persona, well, not even that, his views and controversial takes, what they're doing is influence a young audience, and obviously trying to get them into his multi-marketing scheme, which at the end of the day is damaging and could possibly turn out to be a fraud. Most people and most pyramid schemes and multi-level marketing schemes are labeled as very volatile for its members.
Everything related to the stock
Right. So this is just a quick interception for some of you to understand. Tate's Hustlers University 2.0 is a Ponzi scheme. That is an investment fraud that pays existing investors with funds collected from new investors. Ponzi scheme organizers often promise to invest your money and generate high returns with little or no risks. But in many Ponzi schemes, the fraudsters do not invest the money. So like, for example, Hustlers University, you're promised, like, I believe it's a 50% back from referring another person. Here is a diagram, an infographic that shows how basically it works. So for example, we have the top level, which is the schemer, in this case Tate, that convinces someone to invest by promising an unusual high rate of return. Then there's the investors, who place their money with the schemer, initially receiving the investment returns. Then there's even more investors which is more people that see the operation working and decide to join in investing in the scheme, and then even more investors. The scheme gets even more popular, and people get to invest more. Money from subsequent investors is used to pay their promised returns to earlier investors, hence tying the possibility of you getting more money from recruitment and tying you financially to the schemer. This is something very similar to a pyramid scheme, but they are not identical. The essential difference between the two frauds is that a Ponzi scheme generally only requires investment in something from its victims, which promised returns at a later pay date. Pyramid schemes are doomed to fail because their success depends on the ability to recruit more and more investors, since there are not only a limited number of people in a given community. All pyramid schemes will ultimately collapse. The only people who make money are those few that are on the top of the pyramid, while the average Joe loses most of their money, if not all. Government regulations both make Ponzi schemes and most pyramid schemes illegal. This is largely due to the fraud involved in obtaining new investors, as well as the falsified reports and audits that are often filled with regulatory agencies like the Securities and Exchange Commissions, SEC. Overall, Hustlers University 2.0 is debatably a Ponzi scheme that ties you financially to Mr. Andrew Tate.
One thing that Andrew Tate is not is dumb. He knows how to sell the dream. He knows how to say things that people want to share. And
most importantly, he knows how to present himself. A lot of like the idiotic shit that he says is unironically tailored for the idiotic people that he wants to scam. There's a lot of stupid people out there, guys. There are a lot of stupid people out there. Smart people are not buying into a multi-level marketing scheme. Do you understand? Dumb people are buying into a multi-level marketing scheme, which is why he can get away with being like, yeah, empirical evidence is stupid. Imperial evidence is stupid. Like that he knows better. That's why you're constantly second guessing yourself. If you're like a relatively intelligent person, when you watch someone like Andrew Tate, you're like, what the is this dude real? Is this dude for real? He's joking, right? He must be joking. And there are moments of like self-awareness where you do recognize that he's joking, because he is purposely crafting an image of himself that is so ridiculous, but that works. And that is deliberate. The whole idea of like constantly talking about how he has all these cars and all these like women throw themselves at him, all this shit. Like, actually confident people don't have to do that. He has insecurities, that much is true. But he's also doing all of that because he is basically a beacon for every. He's put up a sign that says welcome, okay? He's like the American police force. He's like the NYPD. If your IQ level is over a certain point, need not apply. Okay? No, that's too high. We don't want you in here. We can deny you the right to a job. You have tested too high on the IQ test. You can't be a cop. Same with Andrew Tate. He's like, he wants dumb people. I feel like just calling people stupid is oversimplifying. They're deluded because of the pressures of capitalism. No, there is stupidity there too. There's plenty of fucking, I mean, you don't have to be, the grift that he has created it is preying on vulnerable people, certainly, but it's certainly preying on, you know, it's tailor-made for silly people, okay?
a lot.
Although Hassan's stake here is a little too over the edge, it is evident that Tate's entire business model is based on preying on vulnerable people. Tate exploits said vulnerabilities to obtain money from them. Then, when the realization sets in, it makes you wonder how could you fall for such a scam, and you find yourself trapped in a fraud that you cannot escape. What I'm saying is Hustlers University itself, a Ponzi scheme, and a multi-level marketing scheme, or pyramid schemes, which is what Andrew Tate has, is very, very well. It could be a fraud for you, and it could be a waste of money. So what I'm saying is, apart from this individual being very, very, very controversial, he is teaching people how to fraud and how to scam people with many of his teachings, and also instilling values that I don't think our society as a whole right now wants their children to have. And that's why I think that he should not be one of the role models of our future generation. And I think that's it. We can finish it off.
I think, yeah, we can finish with, I mean, really agree with just Mark said. Like, I mean, for example, with Hustlers University, there will be moments in the stock market where you will win a lot of money and where you will lose a lot of money, and it's basically a fraud. And just like summing up and summarizing everything, you have to understand that not everything you see in social media is true.
Not even
and that you
true.
should
You
and
shouldn't. You shouldn't
take that
believe-
as an example.
Exactly.
You shouldn't take that as an example, and you can say that Andrew Tate, like, these accusations are false, and for the moment are false, as he is not guilty, and we can also defend the fact that he's just a persona, but we have to remind people that
What he
He-
has done
his
in the
ideology,
past,
he has
his
mentioned.
ideology, and why his ideas are destructive to our youth, and how they're
Yeah, I mean-
problematic and could be do some collateral damage in our social ideology as a whole.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
don't trust everything you see in social media.
Exactly. Well, I think that's it. I hope you enjoyed, I guess, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.